Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your agenda-free news. This is Jerome Hughes, and we're going to get more into this whole controversy surrounding the Acolyte, okay? So, apparently there's been rumors about an emergency meeting that's supposed to be held and everything based on the failures of the Acolyte, especially with Acolyte episode 3, okay? So, this comes on the heels of bad ratings and stuff, as well as the review scores, as we all can see here on Rotten Tomatoes, which now the audience score is at 15%. All right. And this is basically based on the over 10,000 views as it was listed here. I think they took the amount of reviews that were up there that they took down. And now we see that more interesting news and rumors and stuff that's been coming out. So going to talk more about this with the rumors. So be sure to take this with a grain of salt. Now, apparently the Acolyte has finally done it. Okay. The Acolyte has finally done it. And after episode 3, well, let's just say it seems like it appears that the last straw that broke the Disney's back is actually here. Now, these rumors started floating around on YouTube that they said are turning out to be true. Now, Bob Iger and Disney is in panic mode and holding an emergency meeting because the Acolyte crash and burn is a massive fail, with some saying that this is comparable to the Hindenburg disaster. But here's the thing. Most people don't even grasp just how important this meeting is, and it also has the potential to bring about a huge shift in the future of Star Wars, or so we've been told in the past and disappointed later. Now, one insider, as you all know, goes by the name of Sparrow, has been given a lowdown on the meeting itself. Now, not only did they tell the reason behind it, but they also provided the list of people that's supposed to be attending. Now, this high-stakes gathering with some big names includes Bob Iger, representatives from the Disney CFO's office and Disney Plus, as well as Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and yes, even George Lucas. Okay, so this lineup means that Bob Iger and Disney are pulling out all the stops, or supposedly. And this meeting isn't just a typical strategy session, but it's a major effort to at least try to steer the Star Wars ship back on course. And with heavy hitters like Bob Iger, representatives from the Disney CFO's office and Disney Plus, as well as Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and George Lucas in the room, we could be looking at significant changes ahead. Okay. And if this rumor is true, then I'm not sure what to think about it, because they're looking to go ahead and steer Star Wars back on track. At this point, we all see that Star Wars is dead, if not dying already, and may not be recoverable and stuff unless Kathleen Kennedy is gone and they go ahead and get back to the roots of the originality of Star Wars that was made by George Lucas. Okay. Now, Sparrow says that, George Lucas hasn't been invited to any important meetings about the franchise since he sold it to Disney back in 2012. But the fact that this comes out, they're saying that George Lucas is now being invited to attend one of those meetings is a huge deal and really shakes up things at Lucasfilm. This could explain why Dave Filoni, who was basically a Star Wars universe figure that a lot of fans are angry with, is suddenly talking about openly bringing George Lucas back to work on Star Wars. Now, y'all remember that rumor that I told you about George Lucas returning back to create another Star Wars show, right? This might be connected to something mentioned in an interview that came from comicbook.com, okay, where Dave Filoni says, as far as whether that means Dave Filoni will be interested in seeing George Lucas returning to the franchise with a substantial way, he joked, would you say no? We rent a building I work from George Lucas, so he has all the keys anyways. He can come right in. George Lucas has the pass. I'll tell you, whatever he would come up with would be different. Okay? Now, the fact of the matter is, and here's the interesting part, Kathleen Kennedy, as they said, hasn't even been invited to the meeting, which really says it all. It also shows that Kathleen Kennedy is not in favor with the top people at Disney anymore. Okay. And that's really huge because Kathleen Kennedy has had a bad track record, and I'm going to go into detail as to why she shouldn't be invited to the meeting. But continuing on, Sparrow did mention that Jon Favreau has one clear goal in this meeting: to throw Kathleen Kennedy under the bus once and for all. Okay. And y'all know how much bad blood there was between Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau. And it's come to the point where Jon Favreau wants to use the failure of The Acolyte, a show which Jon Favreau warned Disney executives not to release, as the final nail in the coffin of Kathleen Kennedy. And Jon Favreau wants to push her out of the company without any respect to or recognition for the past work that Kathleen Kennedy has made. Now, in the meeting, Bob Iger and as well as his representatives and stuff, well, let's just say that it's coming at an interesting time where basically the representatives Bob Iger, representatives from Disney CFO's office and Disney Plus, as well as Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and George Lucas may discuss the terrible viewership interval numbers for The Acolyte. And these numbers are apparently much worse than what Bob Iger and Disney has been telling the public. Okay. Bob Iger, as well as representatives from the Disney CFO's office and Disney Plus, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, as well as George Lucas, also talk about the huge drop in the audience score for the show on Rotten Tomatoes, which has been falling rapidly. Okay. And as y'all can see here, well, it's at basically an abysmal 15%. Fan reviews on Rotten Tomatoes dropped off to a terrible 15%. And Sparrow says that Disney and Lucasfilm are really worried about the score and that the fact that it might go even lower into the single digits. Okay, now we should also find out what happens in this meeting soon. And once we get more news about that, I'll bring that to you. But honestly, I'm really hoping it leads to big changes at Lucasfilm, because they need to fix the direction of Star Wars, as well as get somebody in who can actually steer things around and try to bring it back to life. They need to fix the time to fix the direction for Star Wars is basically little to none, and it's heading. And the way it's heading, it means that bringing George Lucas back to help out officially. Okay. But as Sparrow mentioned, everyone now realizes that it's the time for the Jedi to return. All right. Now, this rumor of an emergency meeting and stuff with Bob Iger as well as others seems the fact that, Kathleen Kennedy is not invited also makes it crazier. Now, why shouldn't Kathleen Kennedy be invited? Now, think of Kathleen Kennedy as the galactic emperor of the Star Wars universe, except instead of ruling with an iron fist, Kathleen Kennedy has been accused of ruling with the woke agenda. Okay. Now, a lot of people argue, we all argue this, that under the leadership of Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars has become a platform for pushing social justice and diversity at the expense of the franchise's core values. Okay, so basically putting out their woke ideology that appeases no one except for white liberal women. Okay, now people claim that Kathleen Kennedy is more interested in promoting a political agenda than telling a good story, which is true. Okay, now a lot of people say that Kathleen Kennedy is just often forcing diversity and inclusion, where Kathleen Kennedy is focused more on diversity and inclusion over storytelling, which resulted in a lot of characters and storylines that feel forced as well as out of place. Prime example, The Acolyte. And many fans also saw that Kathleen Kennedy and her team have actually ignored the established Star Wars lore in favor of their own ideas, leading to a lot of inconsistencies and contradictions inside the Star Wars universe. And let's not forget when Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership led to a decline in the quality of Star Wars content, with a lot of poorly received films and TV shows. And then there's also the fact that Kathleen Kennedy and her decisions have alienated longtime Star Wars fans who feel that the franchise has lost touch with what made it special in the first place. Now, some people see these things as opinion, but they're actually facts. Otherwise, the numbers wouldn't speak for themselves, as well as reviews and stuff wouldn't happen. And basically, it's done. And there's some out there who still enjoy the newer Star Wars and everything. But let's just be clear. Under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, it's been a divisive topic. And the fact of the matter is the fandom is divided even further. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Do you think that this emergency meeting is actually real? If it's really happening, do you think there's going to be actual changes into it? Or do you think that the brand of Star Wars altogether is just dead? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Let me know what more you want to hear about on this particular topic, as well as other topics and stuff. Let me know the thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular subject. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all that content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.